Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our town hall this morning. Thank you all for taking time to join us. I know everyone's incredibly busy, um, and we'll try to be as mindful of everyone's time as we can. But we are going to be talking about the plans for year two of our new quality support system, which we call Elevate. So thank you all for tuning in to listen to what our prospective plans are and giving us some feedback because as you all know, as we've been working towards
Don't
building the
throw another
system,
toy.
we are um, it's very important that we all give you opportunities to weigh in on these plans as well. For those of you that may not know who I am Chad Allgood. I'm the director of the Division of Early Childhood Care and Development. If you've been able to join any of our town hall meetings that we've had over the last few years, you would have seen my face as well as other people from our team. Before we jump into Elevate, we do have a couple of special guests that are going to take just a few minutes to talk about the online training that we have made available to you all. We've had some questions about accessing the training, how to register for the training, etc. So I'm going to introduce them in just a moment. But before I do that, I did want to go over just a couple of housekeeping things. When you log in, if you will mute yourself, we are going to pause throughout the presentation and give everyone an opportunity to ask questions. And when you do so, or if you're talking, you of course can unmute yourself and speak. But if you're not speaking, if you'll just keep yourself muted, just so we can keep the background noise to a minimum. We already have 97 folks on the call, and I do anticipate us having a few more people join us. So we could kind of minimize some of the background information. That would be great. So that being said, I am now going to introduce our friends from Teaching Strategies. Joining us today, we have Jillian Gansler and Bailey Cookson, who are both from Teaching Strategies. Some of you may have accessed the Teaching Strategies online learning platform. Some of you may have not. And again, before we jump into Elevate, I did want to give Jillian and Bailey an opportunity to talk about what the online training is, and just so you all are aware of how to get on the system. As a reminder, this training is completely free to you all and your staff. If you, anyone that works in a licensed child care facility in Mississippi can access the platform free of charge. So, with that being said, Jillian Bailey, I will turn it over to you all. Thank you again so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Chad. We are excited to be here and chatting with you all again. Maybe we've met some of you before. My name's Bailey Cookson, and I am a partner success manager at Teaching Strategies. And so my role is really to help you all with any support you might need related to this membership. So if you need help registering, if you need help logging in, if you're taking courses and anything comes up, I will be your direct contact. My contact information is at the end of our slide deck. But Jillian, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Great to meet you. I'm so excited to be here and take a couple minutes to tell you about the professional development teacher membership. I am also working on this project in Mississippi and supporting a number of other states on helping folks get training and make sure that they get credit for their training and make sure that they can use it for all kinds of things that you all need in the work that you all do, which is the best work.
So for back to school, this is great news if you haven't met us. Like Chad said, they've partnered with Teaching Strategies to offer all of this training at no cost to Mississippi educators working in licensed childcare facilities. So this is a great opportunity for you to take advantage of the membership and everything it contains, which includes over 400 hours of coursework, a professional learning community. There's a special teacher acceleration program, but I'm going to let Jillian get into more of the details on the next slide.
Okay, and why did my screen just stop sharing, or is it still
Oh,
sharing?
it's sharing. It got bigger. It looks great to me.
Okay, all right. Okay, then I think I can go to the next slide. I hope so. So I'm going to just jump in and tell you a little bit about what the membership includes. It is, as Bailey said, it is completely no cost to any of you working in licensed facilities. That's whether you're an educator or an administrator. So the system includes 400 hours of high quality online training. It is all on demand. The courses can be accessed in English or Spanish, and we have training on all kinds of topics: developmental milestones, children with special needs, health and safety, leadership, everything that you want in this field. This system was designed with you in mind. We have been Teaching Strategies, for those of you that are familiar with us, has been in business for over 40 years, supporting educators and early childhood. That's where we live, and that's where we want to continue to live, to support you in all the great work you're doing. So as Bailey said, there are live courses, there's Ask the Experts. All the training to earn or renew a CDA is also included in here. And we also have a teacher acceleration program for new teachers to onboard you, and you get a coach, which is great. And then if any of you are using any of our other solutions, such as Creative Curriculum or Gold, you can access support for them here. And we also had digital badges. That's a new thing that we'll talk about at a later date. So that what happens when you get a membership? You get access to the membership, and it's basically like, I say, it's like getting a library card. You have unlimited access to everything in our library. As I said, over 400 hours of training. So you just basically log in, and Bailey's going to tell you at the end how you get your access to your username and password. And you can log in. You're going to go to the Develop tab, and you get to a screen that looks like what you're seeing on the screen, the big orange one, where you can go to run reports and you can take training. And there is also, I circled it on the top of this slide, a search bar, like all good websites, where you can put in a topic. I want to know about health and safety. I want to know about the CDA. I want to know about children with special needs. I want to know about learning environment in my classroom, challenging behavior, transportation, health and safety, all of the things that you want to know. Just put a keyword in there, and the courses that we have are going to pop up. And you can also take live courses and classes, and you're going to earn certificates, and all of that is going to be here.
Part of the membership is also access to the hub, which is our online professional community. Everyone in here, it's not just Mississippi. There's users in here from across the country and across the globe, and it's a way for you to connect with your early childhood educator peers. So if you have a question, you can hop in here and maybe get an answer from one of your peers in the field. They run contests in here, they give away prizes. You can access a lot of the features Jillian was talking about. If you look on the right-hand side of your screen, there's an Ask the Experts feature. So if you have a question related to content, you can reach out to one of our subject matter experts at Teaching Strategies, and you'll hear back from them within 24 hours. You can also submit pictures of your classroom, and they'll review the pictures and make suggestions based on their expertise on what might work better for you. Or they might just say, hey, this looks amazing. Can we use your picture on our website? You never know. So that's another great perk of this membership that is all included in that, and it's free. This has been a lot of information in a very short amount of time. If you have one takeaway, it would be that this is free professional development that you can complete online wherever you have access to a computer. So you don't have to be at work. You could be sitting at home in your jammies with a nice snack, taking your time popping in and out of these courses. Like Jillian said, they're on demand. So if you have 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there, you can do it in those increments and still meet your professional development goals. So this is a QR code on the left that will take you to the registration you need to complete in order to be assigned a user account. If you haven't experienced a QR code yet, you just pick up your phone right now and open up the camera and hover over that code, and it will prompt you to go follow a link. And that link will take you to, like I said, the registration form. If QR codes aren't your thing, my email address is on the screen, and you can reach out to me and I will send you the link via email. If you've already registered and are having trouble getting in, same email address, ms@teachingstrategies.com. And That's it, really. We have time for questions if you have time, Chad.
Sure. Yeah, we can take a few questions.
Chad,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
this is Dolores Sewell. How's everybody this morning?
Hi, Ms.
Uh,
Hill.
we now some courses that may be offered with the Department of Health. If those courses are also offered with this agency, that doesn't is that okay? Because I know the new proposed regs say that any required training would certain things would have to be done with the Department of Health. And that, that is kind of concerned me because like CPR, we can go to the Red Cross. So would this agency still, we still be able to get those credits? Or is that something you need to speak with the health department about?
So the Department of Health, they are still doing the training on the regulations, et cetera. But other than training specifically on the regulations, any other training that is offered through teaching strategies it qualifies towards contact credit. Any of the trainings the Department of Health specifically, I believe it's only the trainings that pertain to the regulations. So you will not find the regulations training on the teaching strategies platform, not the regulations training that Department of Health requires. But all other trainings that are offered on the teaching strategies platform, you will receive contact hour credit for any of those trainings that you take. And that is something that I have worked out with Department of Health.
And we give you certificates at the end of every course. And we keep them for 7 years. So you will get, as Chad said, contact hours and training credit. We do not do CPR. That's something you can't do online. So we do, other courses on health and safety. But talk to licensing for specifics.
Okay, does anyone else have any other questions before we jump into Elevate? All right. Jillian, Bailey, thank y'all so much for being here today. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Chad, and thank you everybody on the call for everything you do every day.
All right, y'all take care. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Okay, so we are going to switch over to Elevate for year 2. But quickly before I get started, if somebody that's on video, can y'all just give me a thumbs up if you can see the PowerPoint screen okay and hear me okay? Okay. All right. We're good to go. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate it. So again, those of you that may have just had a chance to log on, my name is Chad Allgood. I am the Director of the Division of Early Childhood Care and Development. Today, we're going to be talking about the perspective plans for year 2 of Elevate, our quality support system. Those of you that may have been able to join us for our previous town hall meetings, you know that a few years ago, we started doing the town hall meetings as a way to get feedback from you all about our different quality improvement initiatives, the training, the coaching, the way that we recognize quality itself. And so we began the plans for the development of Elevate, which is our quality support system. We are currently still in year 1 of the rollout of the system, and now we are gearing up for year 2. What I'm going to do today is give just a little bit more background about Elevate just for a couple of minutes. I'm going to give just a quick review about year 1 and the badge that is part of year 1, but we're going to spend the bulk of today talking about year 2 and what we're thinking year 2 will look like. Now, as a reminder to everyone, nothing that I am presenting about year 2 is being implemented, okay? We are not piloting this. We are not testing it anywhere right now. The reason being is that we wanted to give you all an opportunity to give us feedback before we had an opportunity to really put anything into place. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about our whole process for engagement with you all as we continue to move forward. So I am going to pause throughout the presentation today to give you an opportunity to ask questions, to give feedback. You can ask questions, but if there's something that is confusing to you, or something that I need to clarify, if there's something that doesn't make sense, or if it's something that you like, if you would like to make comments about things that you do like about the system, please feel free, to share those as well. To ask your questions or to give comment when we pause, you can either unmute yourself and speak up, or you can put your question in the chat. We'll try to moderate the chat as best we can. And then as we get to those questions, I'll go back through the chat and see if there are any questions as we move through the presentation. So again, thank you all for being here, and we're going to get started. So when we started talking about the development of Elevate, we really thought about, okay, what is it that we want to see first and foremost for children? What do we want the system to accomplish for children? We also looked at what do we want the system to do for our families? And by the way, we do have families that we do have parents that are joining us today for our session. So what was it that we wanted the system to do for our parents, for our families? What do we want the system to do for our child care providers, who are our partners, the ones that are offering care and education to our kiddos? And then finally, what do we want to see for the state of Mississippi? So when we're looking at what we want the system to do for children, we want children in Mississippi, all children in Mississippi, to have access to high quality care and education. But we want that care and education to be adapted to their unique needs. As you all know, no two children learn exactly the same. And one of the core foundations of early childhood education, of high quality early childhood education, is adapting the way that we teach children to meet their specific learning styles. And of course, the goal there is to help prepare children for lifelong learning and success. So setting them up on a trajectory as they get older, for being, successful as they continue on into elementary school, middle school, high school, if they attend college or a trade program, if they go directly into the workforce. We want to set them up for success as they move forward. What do we want the system to do for parents? We want our parents to be able to search for childcare programs that do meet their needs, that are best suited to, what the needs of their family, the needs of their children are, but also help our parents identify other services that you all provide that they may not even have been aware of. And then we want the system to, again, help them see, those specializations, which is, as we move into year 3, or move towards year 3, which is tentatively planned for October of 2026. That still sounds weird. When I say 2026, I actually had a conversation the other day, and we were talking about the year 2030. And I was like, that just does not sound real at all. That's just a weird thing to say. But anyway, year 3 is planned for 2026. We are planning to roll out the specialization badges at that point, if we continue to move forward as we are. Then what do we want the system to do for you all, for our child care providers? We want you to be able to look at your programs in a way, identify areas that identify what you're doing well, maybe identify some things that you would like to work on, and then us help partner with you in making those improvements. But we want you to be able to approach all this in a manner that is doable. We don't want to throw too much at you at one time. That's why, as we have jokingly said, with Elevate, we are literally slow on our roll with the way that we are implementing the system. We are doing it gradually over a 3-year period. We also want the system to be adaptive, just like we talk about how it's important that when we're teaching young children that we be adaptive to their needs. Likewise, we need to be adaptive when we're working with you all to improve your programs. We want the system to balance support and accountability. Accountability is, of course, important. It is important that, when we set standards in place, that we are helping to make sure that y'all are meeting those standards. Because when we recommend early childhood programs to our parents. We want to make sure that we're making good recommendations to them. But at the same time, there has to be the right level of support as we put standards in place. So we can't just say we want to see this in our early childhood programs. We need to make sure that we're giving you all the available support that we have to help you meet those standards. But again, with the development of those standards, it's important that you all have a voice in what those standards are, which is why we have had these town hall meetings. We also want the system to have multiple options. So today, when we're talking about the fundamental badges, you're going to see, as I have said previously in other town hall meetings, there's not one, there's not two, but there are 3 pathways that you will be able to pursue to earn those badges. And again, as we lay out these options, I hope that you'll give me some feedback, good and maybe not good. But hopefully, I hope that what we have designed, I hope you all will find it to be understandable and useful to you all. Then what do we want to see for the state? We want Mississippi to be a leader in early childhood education. We want our state to be recognized for all the good work that is going on around early childhood education. We want the system to provide families with choices, with options for high quality care. We don't want families to just be stuck with a choice that's the only option to them. We want them to be able to choose from multiple high quality programs in their area. We also want the system to be easily understandable by the citizens of Mississippi. The standards of quality should not be so complicated that people don't understand what it means when we say this is what high quality early childhood education should look like. So as we have progressed through the plans for Elevate, we adopted this model of engagement and feedback with you all, our child care providers, and our families. As we continue to move forward with the development of Elevate, but also after we finish year 3, we are not finished with the quality system. When we're looking at quality improvement, it is a constant process. When I used to teach director's credential, the Mississippi Director's Credential course, we had discussions in our classes about how directors need to always be looking at their overall program and trying to identify ways that they can make it better. And it's not that it's these major changes, but there's no program out there that is perfect. And we would talk about how it's okay for you to be satisfied for a certain amount of time. Okay, I think we've reached some of our goals. We're doing well. But you don't need to stop there. We always need to be looking at how we can do things better. And I would tell directors, if you get to a point where you're always saying, that's good enough. That's good enough. We're getting by. You're in danger because that's usually a sign that you're teetering on the cusp of being burnt out. If you're constantly saying to yourself, it's good enough, we're getting by. So we all need to be engaged in doing things better. And that includes what we're doing on our side too. So as we continue to move forward with putting Elevate in place, not only may the quality, the way that we're looking at quality and the way that we address it, that may change. But certainly the things that we're doing on our side, the training, the coaching, the resources that we're providing to you all, we are also taking a good hard look at this is also it's also important that we be responsive, to your needs as well. So what does the feedback process look like? First of all, we connect, and the connecting is what we're doing today. Is we are sharing with you all potential plans. We are giving you an opportunity to weigh in on the plans that we're moving forward with. Giving you an opportunity to give us feedback on the system, what you like, what you don't like, what will work well for you. As we have these meetings with you all, as we gather feedback, then we interpret it. We say, okay, this is what we think that we This is what we think we're hearing. This is what we think that you all are saying to us about the system. This is what we think that that you all are wanting from us. So we interpret that, and then we start to develop the plans, or as we've developed the plans for Elevate. But before we actually put these things in place, we check in with you again. So that's what we're doing today. We've moved forward with some of the plans for year 2. So now we're checking in with you all to see if what we heard was correct, if we got it right. And then once we have the opportunity to check in with you again, then we take action. Then we go to move forward with implementation. And then as we do implementation, we will be sharing results with you all, what's working well, what we think is working well, what you all are telling us is going well. But as the plans are being put in place, what do the results look like? Are we achieving what we all set out to achieve? This is the schedule of the in-person and the virtual town hall meetings. A couple of weeks ago, I was in Indianola. I did a face-to-face meeting there. Last night, we had the first of the 2 virtual meetings. We did an evening and a daytime session. So we did our virtual last night. We're doing our second virtual today. And there was a question about whether or not the system or the session would be recorded. Yes, the session is being recorded, just like all of our other sessions. And just like all of our other sessions, it is going to be made available on our information sharing session page. And if you go to the information sharing session page, you go to the MDHS website, all of the previous town hall meetings that have been recorded are uploaded to the website. And then tomorrow here in Jackson, we are going to do the second face-to-face, which will be at the Briarwood Resource and Referral in Jackson from 5:30 to 7:30. Now, if you're attending today, if you're in the Jackson area, you don't need to attend the one in Jackson tomorrow unless you're just really bored and you want to come hear me talk about this again. You're certainly welcome to do so. But we're going to be covering the same information that we're covering today. So as we were looking at building quality around early childhood education, and when we were talking to you all about what it needed to look like, we were all in agreement that the foundation of early childhood education is the interaction between the adults and the children in the classroom, period. We need to make sure that teachers understand how to have positive interactions between children and between themselves and children, but then also how to set up the learning environment so that children are having positive interactions with each other. And then we go to the next step. So then we build on that foundation with what are the specific developmental needs, what are the fundamentals of each of children across the age spectrum. So for infants, what should that look like in an infant classroom? What should it look like for toddlers, preschool, school age, and then children that have special needs? And so that's where we are right now. And then at the top of the pyramid, looking at what are the specializations that we can offer or that you all are offering, and how can we help make sure that parents are aware of the specialized services that you're able to offer them. So that will be part of year 3 with the specialization badges. So with year 1, we rolled out the educational interaction badge. This badge indicates that a child care program provides positive and educational interactions between teachers and children enrolled in the programs. It's earned through the evidence and research-based observation tool, which is known as CLASS, the Classroom Assessment Scoring System. And it is used not only by our child care programs, but it's also used by our pre-K collaboratives. It's used by elementary school classrooms. It's also used with Head Start. And as you all know, we're seeing an increase of more pre-K programs across the state. I've even talked to some of you all about you're losing kids to those programs. We're hoping that by aligning the quality standards and by and providing some additional supports to you all, maybe we can help parents see that there are other options in child care programs, and that children in childcare programs can get just as high quality an education as they can in a pre-K program. And then there are areas where public pre-K is not an option or it's full one way or the other. So this was the first badge, and to earn this badge, you do receive the class assessment. You just have to meet a minimum score of a 3, an overall score across all the age categories to earn this badge. Once you have met that threshold score with your observation, then you earn the badge. And we do have multiple childcare programs that have already earned this badge. So kudos to you all. Some of you may be on the session today that have already earned this badge. So I'm going to pause here for a second just to see if there are any quick questions about year 1 or this badge before I move into year 2.
I was just about to ask. Okay, I see here. I'm Sarah York. I'm with Faith Vision Inc. Okay, I see here where you said the badge is earned through an evidence and research-based observation tool. Okay, my question is, do y'all have the observation list, a checklist that y'all are actually looking for before the evaluator comes out? Because I'm assuming that that's whenever the evaluator comes out in order to observe the classroom. Where is the curriculum or criteria or checklist for each badge?
So at this point, it's just the one badge. We have not rolled out the additional badges yet, and that's what I'm going to talk about today, what the criteria is going to look like. To earn this badge, it is the classroom assessment scoring system that is the tool that is used. And there's one for infants, there's one for toddlers, there's one for pre-K, and there's one for school age. And so when we do the assessment, when you register for Elevate, you are contacted about the assessment, about scheduling the assessment, and we do an assessment on each of those age groups. Now, you can either go directly to your evaluation if you want to, or you can request technical assistance first. And if you request technical assistance first, we have a coach that will come out, and they won't do the full class assessment, but they do. It's a like a pre-evaluation that uses the criteria, and the coach will work with you on any areas that they think you may need some assistance with before we move forward with the observation. But the criteria they are the dimensions that are set forth in the class tool. I guess it was about a year ago before we started the rollout of year 1. We actually purchased dimensions guides for everyone that was licensed at the time. And those dimensions guides lay out all of the criteria across the different dimensions. We offer trainings on class. There's an introduction to class that can be taken. The training that the teaching strategies platform, there are some classes that assist with the dimensions there as well. But you can purchase the class tool if you wanted to purchase the entire tool to look at it for yourself. You can purchase it and look at it and use it, if you wanted to, on your own. But that's
what I'm asking though is, where do we go to get it? Because I heard you say that y'all had purchased the dimension guides for every licensed facility, but we recently had a meeting. When I say we, I'm talking about our local child facilities that are in my area, which is Jackson County on the coast. And I want to say that what was represented there was almost 8 centers, and nobody had the dimensions guide. So where do we go to get the dimensions guide so that we can kind of have a precursor of what the actual evaluator is looking at, so that we can pre-work those things? I know with Quality Store prior to this, which seems very mirroring to this, we had the Itters and Eckers book, which speaks upon the infant and toddlers and so on and so forth like that. So they had a checklist so that we were able to follow those guidelines. What I'm asking you, Mr. Allgood, is where exactly do we go to get those things for purchase or for free, whichever way?
So, Ms. York, we have the dimensions guides at the resource and referrals. If you want to go and check those out, you can do that. You can also go online to Teachstone and you can purchase all of the dimensions guides. There's a bunch of support that's out there if you want the additional support in addition to the coaching that we provide. But we do have the dimensions guides at the resource and referral. You can check those out to look at. If you were licensed a year ago, I'm not sure why you would not have received the dimensions guides, but we did make those available. And I would have to check to see if we have any more that are out there, but we were distributing those. But yeah, you can check those out. And I will say, if you go and you look at the class tool itself, you know, you made mention of itters and eckers. I'm very familiar with those. The reason that we went with class is because class is it moves in a different direction than the itters and eckers. The itters, the eckers, the sakers really focused on the environment of the classroom, not so much the interactions. And so if you go and if you look at the class and if you look at what is in the dimensions guides, I think you'll see that there's nothing in there that teachers should not really already be doing, because it does focus on those positive interactions. And as we were building the criteria for Elevate, we wanted to focus on those interactions, not on materials, because you know, I've worked in early childhood education for a long time, and I've worked with programs that have the most state-of-the-art facilities, but their teachers were not great. The teachers were not engaging with the children. And it doesn't really matter that you have all these wonderful materials if you have teachers that are not getting on the child's level, that are not engaging, you know, with the children. That is, in fact, the most crucial part of early childhood education. And so, but yeah, you should be able to check those out at the R&R. You can also purchase them online. Teachstone is the name of the company that offers those materials. So there's also a question about how long does it. I'm sorry, was there another question?
No, I was just simply saying thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep, you're welcome. You're welcome. So there's a question, how long does it take to get the class scores back? Our school age program is being evaluated this year. So it really just depends. The class scores should come back in a few days, unless there's a question. If you have had your evaluation and you still haven't received your results, just maybe reach back out to your coach, or you can reach out to us. You can email our division and we'll see what may be going on with, if there's a delay in getting your scores. But the evaluations itself, they're done in cycles, and so each classroom, the observer will go into the classroom. I believe, is it 20 minutes per cycle? Is that right? I believe, yes. It's 20 minutes per cycle. So the observer will go into, you know, like your infant classroom. They will observe for 20 minutes, and then they will step out, and then they will do a quick scoring of what they've seen. And they take, you know, they'll look over their notes and all that. But I believe we're doing 3 cycles per classroom. Is that also correct, Chrisella? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So it's 3 20-minute cycles per classroom, and that's the extent of it. You know, I remember back when we did the itters and eckers, I had an evaluator in there with me all day, and I was a nervous wreck when I was a teacher, because the evaluator was in there, gosh, it was between 4 and 6 hours, and we knew that we wanted to be as minimally invasive as possible. So like I said, we just do the 3 20-minute cycles per classroom for the score. I'm going to see just a couple of other questions. Is the deadline still September 1st to earn the first badge? No, we are going to extend the deadline, and we're going to be sending out a letter this week about the extension. We're going to give programs a little bit more time just to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to get the coaching, et cetera, that they need. But we are going to move forward with rolling out the fundamental badges on top as it was originally planned. But to earn the first badge, if you're a subsidy program, the first badge is the only badge that you have to earn to continue to participate in the child care payment program. So we are going to extend that deadline for our subsidy programs, but you are going to have to get registered, at least sign up for the system by October 1. But all that will be in the letter that we're going to send out, the email that we're going to send out. Will the individual results for the evaluations be available instead of just receiving the badge? Yes, you can receive, or you can request your classroom specific scores from your coach. You just have to submit that in writing. The score ranges from 1 up to, I believe it's 7 is the highest. The threshold for earning the first badge is a 3, your overall score of a 3. Okay. Yes, school age kids will be evaluated this year. Yes, and I'm going to get more into that here in just a moment because there will be 2 badges for school agers that you can earn. Yeah. And I'm glad that your evaluation and it was a good a good experience. And Christy, I'm going to get into after school programs here in just a second. So this, as we look at moving towards year 2, this is what we're proposing as far as the other badges that will be available to you. So there will be an infant badge, a toddler badge, a preschool badge, an after-school program badge. So this is when children are in school and they may come to your program before and after, but this is during the school year. And then there would be a summer program badge, which would be when children are at your program full day. And then an inclusion program badge, which is also known as working with children that have special needs. We may potentially rename this badge just with some of the requirements from the federal level around the use of the word inclusion. So it's very likely that this badge will be changed to special needs badge instead of inclusion. But this is what those potential badges would be. So as I said before, to earn each of these badges, which by the way, none of these badges are required. These are all optional. The only badge that's required to continue to participate in the child care payment program is the first badge. These other badges are optional. Now I did see a question or there was a comment about assistance with these. So with these badges that we're rolling out, we are intending to tie incentives to each of these badges. And let me be very clear. The incentives will not start once you earn the badge. The incentives will start at the point that you say you want to work towards earning the badge. So at the point that you register and you say, hey, I want to go for my infant badge, the plan is that we will potentially do one of 2 things. We will either raise your infant subsidy rate by a certain percentage. I do not know what that percentage is yet because I'm still waiting on the federal government to tell me what my budget will be for 2026. But as soon as they do, we are going to be using our quality dollars, which by the way, cannot be used for anything else. I cannot use quality dollars for subsidy dollars. Quality money has to be spent on quality, which includes incentives tied to meeting higher standards of quality. And historically, Mississippi has struggled with meeting our 12% quality. We've never had a problem with meeting our requirement for direct services, but quality has always been an issue. So this is a way for us to do that and also give you all a little bit more assistance in that route. So at the point that you say that you want to, at the point that you want to say that you're going to go for a certain badge, we would go ahead and put those incentives, or we would call them investments at that point. We'll give you a year to earn the badge from the point that you say that you want to earn it. And then once you have earned the badge, the investment continues, and at that point, it becomes an incentive. And I'm going to say this too. There's the question about giving this all a rest. No, I'm not giving it a rest. I'm not having any more conversations about not putting quality standards in place for childcare in Mississippi. Bottom line is we are fighting a fight against other initiatives around early childhood education. And policymakers have to see childcare as a viable early childhood field. They have to see that our childcare programs are meeting educational standards that are preparing our children for the future. And the more that we continue to fight against quality standards, the more that we're literally shooting ourselves in the foot there. So no, I'm not having any more conversations about not putting quality standards in place. I also want to point out, and then I'm going to move on, the development of this system was done in partnership with you all. Your voice, the voice of our child care providers and our parents has been very strong in the development and implementation of the system, and it will continue to do so. Everything that we are offering, the coaching, the training, the resources, that has all been made available to you all free of charge. No, we have not overspent what we're required for quality. I have the reports to say that, and I'm not gonna spend any more time talking about that. But I do have the report to show that that is actually not the case. We have not overspent in quality. As a matter of fact, last year we had to scrape to make sure that we met the quality requirement. We had actually overspent in direct services. So I'm not going to have that. I'm not going to engage in that part of the conversation anymore. All to say that yes, quality improvement is an important part of what we do because it's important that our policymakers see what you all do as learning. It's not just babysitting. It's not just wiping noses and changing diapers. Those things are important, but our policymakers also need to understand what you all do on the learning side, that you all are working very hard to make sure that our children are prepared for their educational future. Without quality standards in place, they don't see it and they're not going to see it. So that's bottom line. We are moving forward. We have been very intentional to make sure that as we have implemented Elevate, that we are putting a system in place that is going to be helpful, not harmful. So with the fundamental badges, there are three options for earning the badge. So the first one is you can continue with class if you so choose. The second option is going to be the use of a portfolio, which we're going to spend most of today talking about. And then the third is a hybrid option between class and the portfolio. And we're going to dive into each one of these options in a good bit of detail. So, and again, as we move through each one, I will pause and we can ask questions, or you can all ask questions, give feedback. Okay, so the first option is the infant class scores. So we are including school age here too. I apologize, it's not on the screen. If you want to go the class route, you would just need to earn a composite score of a 5 on that specific class. So when you did your first observation, we observed all your classrooms across your entire program, and then you had to meet the score of a 3. To earn, like, for example, to earn your infant badge, we're raising the threshold to a 5. Now, if you have already had your observation, and if you earned a 5 on the class for your infants, you will have already met the requirements for this badge, and there will be nothing else you're required to do for the next 2 years. Okay? Same thing for the toddler, same thing for the pre-K. If you have already earned that composite score of a 5 for that age group, you will have already earned that badge. So when we roll the badges out and you've already earned the first badge, we will go ahead and give you credit for earning these badges as well. Okay? Any questions about that? And again, you can request your scores from your coach. You just submit that request in writing, and they will provide you with the breakdown of your scores across all of that. So any other questions? Let me see. Yeah, so Ms. Gordon, you can request your full mock-up. No, I've never said that it was going to be a 4. It was always a 3 at the composite, and it was a 5 for it's always been a 5. You can go back and you can watch the previous recordings. I do believe that I've always said a 5. But like I said, those are available. The previous town halls are available to watch. Okay, so moving into the portfolio, which is what we're going to spend a good bit of our time on today. If you wanted to go with this option, there are 4 sections of the portfolio, and the idea here is basically that we took kind of a page from the CDA playbook, the Child Development Associate credential. And what we wanted to do was give your teachers really an opportunity to get more involved in their classroom. One of the things that we continue to hear in discussions with you all was, I need help helping my teachers know what their job is. I need help with teachers understanding their role in the classroom. And so the goal here is to do that in a way that is non-threatening, a way that is understandable, because the portfolio is tied to things that the teacher is actually doing and things that they're already required to do, like developing learning activities, etc. And the idea here is that they will build a portfolio, not only that they can show what they're doing in the classroom, but everything that they're collecting for the portfolio could be things you all could use to market your programs. So some of the evidence, and you'll see what I'm talking about here in a moment. The idea here is, as they're collecting, collecting this information, they will upload it digitally because that's easier. But everything that they upload, you can all print out and have like a physical copy. Or you can have you'll have the digital versions too that you can use on social media, you can use on your website. If you wanted physical portfolios, so like when you're doing tours, like when you have families that come in to tour your program, the teacher can show the portfolio and say, hey, here's some examples of some of the things that we're doing. The goal here is to create something that you all can use. Again, not just busy work or something that you'll put together and then just set aside. And the portfolio could also be used with new staff. Like when you have new teachers that come on, hopefully the portfolio will be something that you can incorporate in the orientation with your new staff as well. So the portfolio is broken down into 4 areas: professional development, learning best practices, wellness support, and social emotional support. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go through each one of these, and I'm going to show you an example. So the idea here would be that we would make these materials available to you at any point. You can download them online, but then a coach would also work with you and walk through with you, literally go on the journey with you at completing your portfolio. Okay. So again, it's all designed to be very hands-on, and dare I say, maybe even a little fun, because it really is kind of like scrapbooking. It's like putting together a collection of activities, memories, ideas, which is very similar to what you do with like a scrapbook. And it highlights over a period of time, what's going on in each of your classrooms. All right, so the first part is the professional development piece. So when you talk about putting together a plan for professional development, the key here is identifying the types of training that the teacher may need, helping the teacher have access to that training, and then determining if that training was in fact helpful. So when you're looking at the professional development part of the portfolio, so over here on the left, you see the action items. So these are the actions that would take place as part of the professional development plan for the teacher. So the first one is identifying the needs. So what would happen is a coach would sit down with the director, teacher, and talk about, okay, these are some of the training activities, or these are some of the areas that this teacher may need some assistance with. So like for this example, maybe the teacher and the director meet, and the teacher, it's understood that the teacher does a really fantastic job with one-on-one activities, but maybe the teacher struggles a little bit with developing group activities like during circle time. So maybe that would be a training target for that teacher. And so then there would be just a written summary of that meeting that says, hey, the teacher we've identified that this teacher needs assistance with large group activities or circle time activities. Then you would set the goals and objectives. So in this case, the goals that we would set for this teacher would be to have more child engagement during circle time. In other words, when you walk into the classroom, the children are actually engaged in circle time, and they're not wandering around the room and the teacher spending half her time trying to gather them back to come to the carpet. And then circle time would be used for like giving instruction on new or familiar concepts. In other words, the teacher has a better understanding of what types of activities need to be taking place during circle time. And then of course there would be the goal and objective that would be written out. Then the selected training activities. So this is where the coach would help you, the director and the teacher, identify the activities that whether it's training, there's training that they can sign up for around circle time, or it may be technical assistance. So the coach may actually go into the classroom with the teacher and do some modeling about circle time activities. And then there would be just, just a quick justification written about, how this training might help, the date, time, location. And this would be something the teacher can use. Go ahead and sign up for these trainings. It also would help the teacher stay on target with trainings that are going to be helpful to them. Then the implementation of the training. So this would just be some notes and materials about how the training was useful to the teacher, and then whether or not the teacher did see that the training was useful to them. So for this section, what needs the action item is what needs to be completed, and then the evidence is how to document completion of that piece. So this would be what the portfolio would look like. So the first thing that you see here is the identification of needs. So this is the type of training the teacher would need. So if we identify that the teacher needed assistance with, circle time, maybe the teacher needs assistance with lesson planning, maybe the teacher needs assistance with behavior guidance, whatever that might be. Then the goals and objectives. So you're answering the question, why is this training important? What is this training going to help this teacher accomplish? The selected training activity. So this would be where the coach would help the director and the teacher find the actual trainings that they would attend, whether it's the coach going on Lift Ed with you all, helping you find the face-to-face trainings, or going on our online learning platform and finding those trainings. But the coach would help direct you specifically to the training that you need. Reason being, another issue that we have heard throughout our town hall meetings, you all have told us that you have struggled with being able to find training. So we want the coach and using this to be a mechanism to help make the connection between the training that you need and the training that's available. So being more of a direct resource to you in that regard. And by the way, the coach will come out to your center and work with you at no charge to you at all. And that's always the case. Then the documentation of attendance. So this is where the transcript or the certificate would be uploaded just to show that the teacher actually did take the training and completed it. And then finally, there would be just a quick summary of the evaluation of the results, that the teacher found the training useful, what was something from the training that the teacher was able to implement. And y'all, listen, I remember when I used to be a teacher and they would ask us to say, okay, how do you plan to implement this in the classroom? Y'all, the eye roll could not be big enough on my part. Okay. I was like, oh gosh, I don't have time to do this. But let me explain why it's actually important. As we're developing training, as we're, making workshops available to you, it's all required as part of the licensing process. We need a way to determine if the workshops that are available to you are actually useful, or if the coaching is actually useful. So, and we need to get down to the content itself. So if we're hearing from teachers that they're sitting through this training, but there's really nothing of substance that the teacher finds that they can put to use in the classroom, what's the point of doing the training in the first place? So this is part of how y'all can help us stay accountable with the type of training and the coaching that we're offering. All right, so I'm going to pause there. Are there any questions or comments about the professional development portion of the portfolio?
You said, hi, Mr. Allgood. This is Miss York again. You said that we'll be able to find these specific templates that you're showing us. We'll be able to find them on the Lifted website, and we can be able to print them out. Or did you say Elevate? Which one did you say?
The plan is to make these available to you, so to download at any point if we do move forward. Again, remember, this is not set in stone yet. This is why we're doing the meetings. But yeah, there would be a link to all of the documents on the portfolio. We would put them on LiftEd, but I would say we would also put them on the Elevate website, and we would also put them on the MDHS website. I would probably ask all of our partners to also include links so you can find it wherever you happen to go.
But these are directly tied to the current trainings that are required, right? Or that are that are currently going on though, correct?
This would be a way to document the training that is being taken place, and this would be part of the portfolio to earn the badge for a particular classroom. So if you wanted to go the portfolio just the portfolio route for like your toddler classroom, this would be one of the things that the coach would sit down and complete with the director and your toddler teacher. So this would be specific to your teachers in the classroom for which you're earning the badge.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out. But the classes that the current classes that are a part
All
of
of
this,
those, all of those
right,
would, yes,
are
all of
having
those would be, could be utilized here. Any of the classes that are out there could be, those would be the selected training activities. So all of the training that's currently available, and maybe there's other trainings that we need to develop. That's another, thing that we need to figure out if we're providing the training that is useful to you. But yes, all of the current training that's out there would be part of this. And again, any of the training that you take that is part of this process will be credited towards your licensing requirement of your contact hours.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you for the questions. This is good. This is how I know that y'all are listening, and B, that we're actually, that you're taking in what I'm saying. So please don't be shy about asking about questions, okay? Lisa, I guess it really depends on what kind of like specifics you're talking about. I'm really just trying to do a general overview because we're not 100%. I want to get feedback first. And just in the interest of time, I'm trying to give more just kind of a broad overview. But if you're talking about how many teachers in like a designated age group or a badge would need this, so just like with the class requirements, so when we do class, we observe 50% of, like for the first badge, we observe 50% of your classes, right? So like if you had 4 infant classrooms, we would observe 2 of them, right? My inclination is that we would require 50% of the age group to meet the requirements of the portfolio. That just kind of makes sense to me. But I feel like directors could really make the most of this requirement by getting all of their staff that are working with the specific age group. Any teacher can participate or can provide can help with build the portfolio. Does that make sense? Even though it may represent a certain classroom, like if and most programs have more than one teacher in a particular classroom. Like a lot of people have like a morning and an afternoon, that's usually some, I mean, any teachers that work in a classroom could be part of the process, because it is, ideally it would be a learning experience, but it's kind of my initial thought that 50% of your age group would do a portfolio to meet the requirement, if that makes sense. Okay. Thank you. So the question, aren't you hearing from CCP providers that the consequences of the pause, that this should be put on a later timeline? I really have not heard that. I haven't really heard how this would potentially be a burden as we're rolling out these plans. This is really the first time that we are rolling out the plans for year 2. I'm not really sure, I think the issue with the pause on CCPP and this, I mean, again, the things that are going on in these badges are not required. I feel like working towards earning these badges is only going to be supportive of programs because again, the training, the coaching, the resources are free. Again, we would tie the additional financial incentives up front before the badge is earned. So it's actually a way for me to use quality money to increase our subsidy rates. So I feel like those are all positives, but I am open to hearing about that. But I really would prefer if there are, if there are more concerns about rolling this out, about how this would be burdensome, I would prefer the directors email me directly or set up a time to talk with me directly, not during the town hall, because I do want to be courteous of everyone's time, and I really do feel like making sure that everyone sees the model for year 2 is important before we make any other decisions. All right, any other questions about the portfolio? Oh wait, there was a question. Let's see. So the portfolio would represent a classroom and include all the teachers in that classroom. Yes, that's correct. So the portfolio would represent like an infant classroom and be representative of the work of all the teachers. The portfolio is not tied to the teacher. The portfolio is tied to that age, to that classroom. And if you have multiple classrooms, I think we would require at least 50% of your classrooms to complete a portfolio because that is in alignment with the class observations. Just that's kind of my initial thought. Okay, so then moving into the learning best practice. Now, again, there would be one of these for whichever age group that you're working towards. So in this case, this is the preschool program badge. And so you see the preschool badge up in the top left corner. So this would be what your preschool teachers would complete. Now, this is a guidance document. Okay, this is not the portfolio itself, but this would be the document, one of the documents that we would make available to you all to help guide you through the process. And then again, we will have coaches that will be working with you all as well. So when you're looking at this, you see, if you look at the very top, so what is it ultimately that we're trying to achieve with learning, with best practices with learning? We want to facilitate the preschoolers' construction of knowledge through hands-on experiences that occur in a social context full of rich language and a variety of materials. So what that means is we want preschoolers to be able to learn in an environment that's hands-on, where they're exploring, they're having opportunities to interact with the teacher, with each other, they're having an opportunity to use language, and they're getting a variety of different, different learning activities. So then with the other three sections of the portfolio, starting with learning best practice, we also feel that it's important that the teacher bring their perspective to it. And so the first thing that we would ask the teacher to do, and again, the teachers can work together, they can work with the director, that's fine. We want the teacher to define what best practice in learning means to them. So what does it mean for them, for children to learn when we're talking about best practice or developmentally appropriate practice? So they would just use one or two sentences that would describe their philosophy of teaching. And again, it could be it could be one teacher, it could be all the teachers in the classroom. However, the director could, give input, etc. But we do feel that it's important that they identify that. So that would be the first step. Then you see on the left column, you see the observable interactions. So these are the things that we need to see happening as it pertains to best practice. So adult facilitation of activities, children engaged in activities and routines, hands-on activities and experiences, constant conversations, and back and forth exchanges. And then for each one of those, with this guidance, there's an example of what that means. So for example, with adult facilitation of activities, what does that mean? It means the adults are playing with the preschoolers on their level, that they're following the child's lead, they're using open-ended questions, not just yes or no questions. And they're doing things that expand the concepts of children's play. Y'all, these are things teachers should be doing anyway. This is basic teaching, teacher-child interaction. This is not something, new and innovative, so to speak. These are basic things that all of our teachers should be doing. Then children engage in activities and routines. So what is the example of that? Teachers are prepared, children are attentive and engaged in learning opportunities while following transition expectations. So again, it's not total chaos. When we walk into the classroom, you don't see children running all over the place, climbing the walls, playing in the water. There appears to be some organization and children are actually interested in engaging in the activities as they're designed. The children are not bored and they're not sitting around waiting or, it's not just total chaos. So those are the examples in the middle column. And then the third is just a checklist of the types of evidence that may be used to document the observable interactions. So that's the guidance on that. And then finally, we do feel that it's important, again, that we're building on the foundation. So we do show how the portfolio requirements do align with class. But again, that's because we want y'all to see that we didn't just go off in left field with these ideas, that we actually pulled information from class. Because if you've already gone through the first observation and you spent a lot of your time understanding the dimensions of class and helping your teachers understand the dimensions of class, that is only going to help them with this part as well. So any questions about this part of the portfolio? Next, I'm going to show you what the evidence looks like, or what the evidence might look like that you might all submit. So any questions before I move on? Okay. So then this would also be one of the documents that we would make available to you. So this would be the guidance for completing this section. So it's very simple. So for first of all, the teacher would put together their definition, or the teachers would put together their definition of learning best practice. Think of it as kind of like a mission statement for their classroom, what they want to see happening with learning best practice. So they would upload their definition in their own words. Then for each of the observable interactions, the things that we want to see, there would be 2 pieces of evidence for each one of those. So for example, with these observable interactions that you see on the left corner, for each one of these, there would be 2 pieces of evidence that the teacher would upload for each one of those. All right. So what might that evidence look like? And there's some examples, some prompts. So you see below here. So we're giving you examples of wording that can be used for these, etc. One piece of evidence must be a written summary of an activity. And I'm going to show you an example because we are going to make multiple examples available to you. So basically the teacher is going to document an activity that they're already doing that pertains to each of those observable interactions. So that's the one thing that's required. The second can either be another summary of an activity, or they can upload a photo or a short video that with a caption that describes what's going on in the photo. So let me talk about this. Let me talk about that. So if you look here, these are 2 examples of the reflection prompts. And essentially what this is, y'all, is it's just a description, a short description of an activity. All right. So if you're looking on the left side, so you see the activity. The activity here is the end of circle time. So this is when the teacher is transitioning the kids from the end of circle time to like learning center time. So that's the activity. While this is when the children are being dismissed from circle time to go to the learning centers. The teacher is saying here that the teacher engaged the children in this activity. There's a goodbye song that they sing, handing them their name clip. I don't know if any of you currently use classroom management systems, but what you do is like when I used to be a teacher, around the classroom in the learning centers, there would be a little sign that would represent each learning center. And then there would be, we had different types of trees because that was our theme at our center. Our apple was our logo. So we had apple trees. And then around each center, so like in the home living dramatic play center, we had a tree, and on the tree there were 4 apples. Well, then the children, they had a little thing that had their name on it. And so when they went to center time, they had to put their thing with their name on their apple. Now, obviously, this is preschool children. These are older kids. But they would put their name on the apple. And the kids learned that when the apple tree was full, nobody else could go in that center. So it's just kind of an example of a classroom management system. So that's what we're talking about here. So essentially, the teacher is engaging them, reminding them of the rules as they're transitioning from circle time to learning center time. And again, these are things that teachers should be doing already. And if you're a new teacher, the idea of a classroom management system might be something new, but this is an opportunity for them not only to really think about why it's important, but actually put together a plan for implementing it. And so they're just documenting that. Then if you look on the right side, so back and forth exchanges, which is another observable interaction. So this is just a short transcript, and all the transcript means is the teacher wrote down a short conversation with the child. So here you literally just see a short transcript of a child talking about, a child's on the bike wearing a helmet. The teacher is having a short conversation about that it's exciting that they're riding the bike, but it's also good that they're wearing their helmet. Okay. And then at the bottom, you see, like when we talk about what scaffolding, feedback, the feedback loop, those pieces mean. Okay. So it's literally just documenting a conversation that the teacher and the child are having, right? So that is one requirement, or those are required for each of the observable interactions. So again, what we're looking for, and then this is the example of the reflection prompt that would be included in the portfolio. Now, why is this important? This helps to show that the teacher is thinking through the activities and the interactions that they're having with their families. And then other evidence could be a photograph with a caption. So like here, there's a photograph and it says, in this photograph, I'm playing with two students. We're talking the entire time about the texture and properties of the dirt that they're playing with. I introduced a new word, moist. We precised this word and found other objects on the playground that were also moist. And the teacher would put this in their own words, okay? So this would be a description in their own words about the activity, how the activity benefited the children, why it was important. So again, it's linking learning concepts to the activities themselves. And then the same thing like for a video, okay? Any questions about that? Anything that looks scary or undoable or not doable? I don't know if undoable is a word.
Hi, Mr. Allgood again. This is
Hi,
Miss
Sarah.
York.
Sure.
Okay. Question. So I know that y'all have the portfolio, but for parents, oh, I'm so sorry. Let me pause. This is the health department.
Okay. Okay. So any other questions? Y'all, again, there are no dumb questions. There's no dumb feedback. And this is an opportunity for y'all to give us feedback. So if there's an idea or if there's something about this that you think that we may not have thought of, if there's something that we could do to make this a little easier to use, a little easier to understand, please share that with us as well, okay?
Okay, I'm sorry.
All right, go ahead.
So this is Miss York. Okay, so question. So there's a lot of programs. I'm not sure if that's probably on here, but I know that there's a lot of programs that participate in My Pro Care, as well as like maybe Brightwheel, that allows for us to have observation charts and things like that, which would basically be what this is, a portfolio. Are y'all accepting that as, is that a thought process that y'all have, possibly evaluated, that these things are going inside of the My Pro Care system or the Brightwheel, that this is possible?
If there's anything that you're using in other places that you feel might be used as evidence here, absolutely you can use those things. Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, so moving into wellness support. So again, there would be one of these for each of the different age groups. This one is just a snippet from the after school program. So again, this is the before and after school care. So the goal at the top, you see, what is the goal of wellness support for after school children? Provide opportunities, activities, and classroom practices for physical, mental, emotional, and social wellness. So again, just like with the learning best practice, we would want the teacher or teachers in the classroom to define what wellness support means to them. What does that mean to them? How are they promoting wellness support? Or what is their goal with wellness support with their after school kiddos? Just like before, there is a list of observable interactions that we need to see. In this case, for wellness support, it's adult supported peer-to-peer interactions. So supporting interactions between the children in the classroom. Adult supported emotional regulation, so helping children understand when they're upset and what is the appropriate and not appropriate way to respond to being angry, to being upset. Self-care and hygiene instruction, why it's important to take good care of yourself. Why is it important to brush your teeth? Why is it important to take a bath? Why is it important, to eat well? Why is it important to exercise? Warm and respectful relationships. So the teacher in the classroom is modeling what it means to positively interact. We know that young children pick up more from modeling than they do from being told. It's more about they're gonna watch what you're doing. Okay, they watch what you do more than they listen to what you say. That's been very evident. And then hands-on activities that promote physical wellness. So getting the children active, giving them opportunities to be physical. And then so there's examples in the middle. So these are the examples of what those might look like. And then finally, just a checklist of the different interactions that might, or the evidence that might be used to show proof. So y'all, in my opinion, like I said, I've worked in early childhood for many, many, many years. I was a teacher, I was a director, I've done training and coaching myself. I don't really, in all the years, there's nothing here that is really any different than when I used to do training, over 10 years ago. These are things that we should be seeing our teachers doing in our classrooms. I don't think that there's anything here that is impossible, I guess, or too difficult to see. And then, of course, again, we show you how it aligns with class, the previous dimensions. And you can also use that, again, it's just connecting any previous training that you did with the class tool to this part of the portfolio. So again, we provide you the instructions for completing it. The first thing would be to develop that definition, that mission statement, if you will. The second step would be to upload 2 pieces of evidence for each of those observable interactions. One has to be the written summary, which I'll show you an example. For each and every one of these, we give you examples, okay? And then the second piece of evidence can be either the video or photograph with a caption. And then at the bottom, these are just some examples of evidence that could be used for each one of those 5 interactions that we want to see. So this is the guidance. Again, this is just some examples. So like what we're looking for, this is the observable interaction. So in this case, we're talking about fostering warm and respectful relationships. And then below is an example of an activity. In this case, it's making friendship bracelets. So this is an activity that's done with the after-school kids. So this is where the teacher would document the activity, what the activity is going to be, why it's best practice, and how the children benefit from the activity. So in this case, the activity is making the friendship bracelets. The children were gathered on the sofas that were in the after-school classroom. The teacher interacts with them by sitting close to them, talking to them about making the friendship bracelets. While you're making the friendship bracelets, talking about what makes a good friend. How do we nurture friendships with good people in our lives? How do you handle some of the more tricky aspects of being a friend? Why is this best practice? Because the teacher is showing genuine affection and discussing how to have positive and healthy friendships with their after-schoolers. Positive friendships is a very appropriate topic for after-school kids. They're often the subject of bullying, peer pressure, etc. Teaching them to connect to other kids that are good influences is an important thing. And like I said, a very appropriate topic for this age group. How do the children benefit? We all enjoyed spending time together, discussing and practicing the meaningful aspects of friendship, and talking about how we can continue practicing good friendship in the future. And then on the other side, I've got too many arrows. Then on the other side is just another example of an activity where they're making sourdough bread. So again, it's just laying out what the activity was, what the activity was, why it's best practice, and how the children benefited. And then here are just, again, a photograph or a video. The teacher can upload another example and activity if they want to use that, or they can also upload a document and/or short video with a caption of what the activity was describing. Any questions about that before I move to social emotional support? Any thoughts?
Hey, Chad.
Hey.
This is Samantha.
Hey.
Just in general, I just want to make sure I do understand what you're saying. You're
Mhm.
saying that for each of the criteria, there's going to be basically an example that you're giving us, correct?
Correct. So for
Okay.
each, yes, so for each of these sections of the portfolio, you have the observable interactions that we need to see evidence of.
Mm-hmm.
These are just guidance documents that would help you collect that evidence to upload to the portfolio, which will be online.
Okay. And what I just want to say, I do like that because, you know, just doing NACE with us, sometimes you got a question, they asking for this. I can interpret it this way, the next person can interpret it that way. And I think having those examples will really make this easy, especially for, you know, a first time teacher that may not be sure what does this mean. And
Right.
you have it all there. So I just want to say on my end, I do like that you are providing the examples for everybody.
Okay, good. Thank you for that feedback. Thank you.
Okay, I have
Anyone
a
else?
question.
Sure, huh?
Now, this has to be done for each class, like each group, like for the toddlers, infants, preschool, and after school, if we do the portfolio form?
Correct. So for each classroom, if you go the portfolio route, you would do the professional development piece, the learning best practice, the wellness support, and the social emotional piece, which I'm about to get into. If you want to
Gotcha,
if you want to go that route. Yes, that's correct.
gotcha.
Mhm. Anyone else? Okay, and then the fourth part of the portfolio is social emotional support. Now, this is the snippet from the infant piece. So you see the infant badge here. So the goal here is to facilitate feelings of safety and security in the infant while modeling communication through language. So again, infants have to feel safe and secure in the environment. That is crucial. And we know that that is crucial for brain development. So that's ultimately the goal here. So again, as with the other parts of the portfolio, the first thing the teacher would do is define what being socially and emotionally supported for infants means to that teacher. And for that teacher, it could be just as simple as I want my babies to feel loved. I want them to feel safe in my presence. I want them to know that they're well cared for and that Mr. Chad is going to take care of them. It could be as simple as that, y'all. It really needs to be in the words of the teacher. We want the teacher to understand and to interpret this in the way that makes sense to them with what they do every single day. So then, as with the other sections, you see the observable interactions. So these are what we need to see. In this case, it's intentional behavior that builds secure relationships. So the teacher is doing things intentionally to make the babies feel safe and secure. You have positive emotional expression. Um, I don't know if y'all have ever been to the grocery store. Next time, y'all, y'all do me a favor. Next time you go to the grocery store or Walmart, watch how people look because some people look like they just ready to kill you. Like they're pushing their grocery cart around and they've got just this look on their face. I see some of y'all laughing, so y'all know what I'm talking about. And like I'll say hi, and they'll look at me like I don't know who you think you are, but I don't want to talk to you. I'm like, oh, yep, okay, I get it. But this is kind of what we're talking about, y'all. Teachers need to be mindful of what their faces look like. Because even if they're not yelling at the kids, if they've got this really nasty look on their face, the kids are picking up on that. So if they're changing, if the teacher is changing the kid's diaper and the whole time the teacher's looking like this, looking like they, are ready to fight or whatever, that's a little thing that some people don't even understand that. And it is a very basic part of teaching, but that's essentially what we're talking about here. Making sure that the teacher is not expressing their face is not expressing an emotion that we don't want to see. Showing respect for the infant. So again, making sure that they're being respectful for the space of the infant, the needs of the infant, understanding and meeting the infant's needs, and then of course making sure that the infant feels comfortable. So those are the examples of the observable interactions. And then finally, the checklist of evidence that can be used. The alignment with class is seen here as well. So this is the guidance document. It looks exactly like the other parts of the portfolio. So the first thing the teacher would do is put together their definition of social emotional support for infants. Then they would upload 2 pieces of evidence, one of which would have to be the written summary of an activity. The other could be another written summary, or it could be a photo, it could be a video. It's really up to the program. Below, we give you some examples of each one of the observable interactions and what may be used to show evidence of each one of those. And then this is, since the required reflection is it is one of the required pieces of evidence, we give you some very specific examples of what that is. So in this case, this is diaper changing. I'm glad we changed this last night when I did this. This was diaper chaining. So nobody should be chaining up infants when they're changing their diapers. Just make sure that everybody's clear. We're all on the same page there, right? We understand that infants should not be chained up at any time. So this is diaper changing. So again, this is just the teacher describing what we all know to be proper interactions when you're changing a diaper. Talking to the infant about what's going on, using it. We talk about using routine activities in the infant room as opportunities to interact with the infants positively. Like when you're feeding them a bottle, you sing a song or you talk to them in a soothing voice. It's just basically just documenting that behavior here. And then over on the other side for the infant comfort, it's just a short transcript of the conversation that the teacher might have with the infant. So any questions about this or about the portfolio before I move into the hybrid option? Okay, yeah, and then this is just, again, the example of the video or photo evidence that can be used with the photo and then just a caption, which is just a description of what's going on in the photo or the short video. All right, so the third option is using a hybrid of the class scores and the respective quality areas. Do we have a question? Was there a question? Okay. So the third option is a hybrid between class and the portfolio. So what we did was we took the portfolio for each age groups. Oh, wait, there was a question. Lisa, okay, you said, will the school age be eligible to qualify for a fundamental badge without earning the first badge? Actually, no, you need to earn the educational interaction badge first, but there is a school age class assessment that we use. And it's not specific to elementary school classrooms. It does focus on that interaction. But again, if you score a 5 on that, you would automatically earn the fundamental badge as well. Did that answer your question? So that's when you register for Elevate. You need to go in and register for Elevate. And I think there was Joy, did you put the link or someone put the link earlier? If no, Joy put the information sharing session. Can one of my folks put the link to register for Elevate in the chat, please? But you actually go in to register for the assessment and we'll contact you. And the process, what happens is you'll be contacted to schedule the assessment or the TA, whichever you want. To schedule the assessment, we give you okay, all right. So Lisa, do you have a coach that's assigned? Okay, just reach out to your coach and just let them know that you've been contacted about the others, but your after school program you have not gotten. Just reach out to them. Okay. So again, to schedule the assessment, there's a 10-day period. Is it 2 or 3 blackout dates? I can't remember. Do we say 3? I think it's 3, right? Yeah, 3. So when we contact you in that 10-day period, you can tell us during that 10-day period 3 days that are out that you do not want us to show up. So we will potentially show up on one of those other 7 days in that 10-day period. Okay. All right, so what we did for the hybrid is we took each of the, oh, Jay, that's funny, with the AirPods in. And look, as long as you start smiling after when someone speaks, you know, I think that's great. So with the hybrid, so we took each one of the portfolios and we crosswalked them with one of the dimensions from class. So, let me show you all this. So these are the class crosswalks and they're color coordinated. So you see the infant portfolio areas. Now we did not include professional development because there's not a dimension that pertains to professional development, okay? But if you want to do the hybrid, so for the class, so let's say that you want to do the hybrid model for your infant room. You would do the professional development plan, okay, which was the first thing that I showed you. Then you could look at your individual dimension scores from your class. And if you scored a 5 on either facilitated exploration, teacher sensitivity, or relational climate, you will have met the requirement for that corresponding area of the portfolio. So for your infant, if you wanted to do the hybrid model, you would do the professional development plan. Then, if you scored a 5 in facilitated exploration, you would not have to do the learning best practice part of the portfolio. If you scored less than a 5 on teacher sensitivity, you could do the wellness support. And then if you scored a 5 on relational climate, you would also not have to do the social emotional part of the portfolio, and you would earn the badge for your infant classroom. And you can interchange those across the different dimensions, okay? So you can use any combination between the portfolio and the class. Now, let's say that you did not score a 5 on the class dimensions, but let's say you got really, really close. Let's say you got a 4, and you do feel like you know, with a little bit more time assistance, you could score higher. You could request to have a second class observation. Okay. So here you see the different age groups, you see the portfolio options, and you notice the portfolio options do not change. It's the same 3 for every age group. But what does change is we've aligned each of these portfolio areas with the corresponding class dimension. And when we do the class assessment, you do receive a score on that specific dimension. So if your individual score on that dimension is a 5 or higher, you will have satisfied that requirement for the portfolio. So I'm gonna let that soak in for a little bit. Does that make sense? Is that registering? Oh, thank you, Angela. Angela put the registration link in the chat. So does that make sense what I'm talking about with the hybrid option? Do y'all like that? Do you like having that option? Okay. Any questions before we move on? Okay, so then the early childhood inclusion badge or the special needs badge. So we work with the Mississippi Early Childhood Inclusion Center at USM. Some of you may already be working with them. If you've already been working with them with their special needs credential, then you will have met these requirements, okay? But you would work with them to meet the requirements for that badge. What if you scored a 4.9? Gina, are you on here? Dr. Puckett, are you on here? She may not be. She had another meeting. I'm going to have to get back to you on that. I don't remember if we said we can round up or not. But Dr. Puckett is my class expert. So unless somebody else on here from my team knows definitively what that answer should be. I don't believe we round up. I believe you have to solidly get the score. I believe that's the case. So even if you got a 4.9, I believe you'd still have to earn a definitive 5 to meet that requirement. I think that's how that goes. I don't think we round up. It's a good question though. I can't get mad at you for asking that question, because you know what? I'd ask the same one too. I'd be like, well, I scored a 4.9. Can y'all just give me the 5? So these would be the requirements for the special needs badge. You would work with the Mississippi Early Childhood Inclusion Center to meet those requirements. Any questions about that? All right, so what are the next steps? So we have one more town hall meeting. We're going to be finalizing the model for the portfolio. I didn't hear any major objections to the model of the portfolio today. I know I threw a lot at you. We're going to, this is being recorded. We are going to upload this. After today, if you think of something, if you have like an idea about how to make the portfolio a little bit easier to work with, or if you have any ideas, please, don't hesitate to send those emails forward. You can let your coach know. You can also email the CC notices. And Angela read my mind. She put it in the chat. You can also email the cc.notices@mdhs.ms.gov with your suggestions, and they will get those up to Angela and myself. Again, this system has to benefit y'all. It has to support y'all. That's the whole point of us having the town hall meetings. No idea that you have is stupid. Okay, no idea that you have. If you feel like you've got a pretty good suggestion for how we can better support you, please voice that. That's important to us. We wouldn't be taking the time to do this if it was not. Okay, so we will be finalizing the model. We are going to incorporate your feedback that we're getting from the town halls and wherever we can. And then as we, if we get continued suggestions, you are going to hear back from us. We'll probably do maybe one more big meeting just about the overall model, to just explain what's going to be coming up, make sure that everybody is on the same page. And again, if you have any follow-up thoughts, please share with us. Okay, before we wrap, yes, was there a question?
Yes, it is. Well, it's a comment. This is Miss York again. Hi.
Sure. Hi.
Okay, so I wanted to wait until we got to this final part to be able to assess what all was laid out and stuff like that. As a director owner, I'm gonna be honest with you. My concern is that when we're looking at this information, because it is a lot of information within a span of an hour, basically, you know what I mean? And y'all have had time to kind of sit with the information, look at it in order to formulate what are some of the concerns, how can we implement it. Like you said, Mr. Allgood, a lot of the stuff and information that you do have in there is very relevant and should be happening inside of the classrooms. But we can't negate the fact that we do have a very high turnover, and money is not always the issue. Sometimes it's just the quality of worker that we are investing in. We can get on down the road, and then just a teacher decides to just completely change. And it can be just something as simple as saying, fix your face, which is something that should be a given if you're working in a childcare industry. So the concern is that the information coming to us in this setting and not allowing for us to just have a good amount of time, even if it's just proposed, hey, this is the proposed, thing that we're doing, in a way that we can actually kind of go through the information ourselves, kind of sit with it, write a couple of notes to be able to give you an honest perspective of how it will impact us. But at this point, we're in a situation where, we're preparing to do it, but by the time it hits our desk to look at it and really evaluate it, it's implemented. And so that's kind of where my reluctance is, or my concern is how can I make sure, even though my absolute utmost is quality for the children that we provide care for, but I am battling in between staffing, along with, like the comments said, the different strains that, the cutting of the funds and things like that, how that's impacting our facility. So that's kind of, just making sure that we're prepared to be able to, regardless of the ups and downs and lows, that we can effectively be able to produce this type of evaluation or quality of care when the evaluator is in our building. You see what I'm saying? And that's my concern, especially whenever it's tied so significantly to, like you said, the first badge, which is, I'm super glad that we really, in order to maintain being on the program, that we only have to earn that one badge. But the mandate of how we participate is where my concern is. And so that was something that I wanted to say to you openly, is that getting the information in a timely manner before we just hit the road running, all cars out, I would like to have the amount of time, because you seem very knowledgeable about all of it. And because we're the ones who's having to implement it, I would like that same kind of due time, besides just being in these town hall meetings, to say, hey, this is a proposed thought of what we're looking at. How do y'all feel about it? And give us ample time to be able to, really sit with it. So that was my concern about it.
So once we get the recording of this done, just asking if this would be helpful to you all. Because we do, put a link to this on the website, but if we were to send you all like the PDF of the presentation along with like a link to the recorded session, so you could go back and watch again and maybe take notes or have that, would that be helpful to you all at having a little bit more time to kind of think through the process? Would that be helpful?
It will be helpful, but also, like you said, just having that PDF file so that we can just kind of look at it, just so we
Sure.
can sit with it. That's kind of where I'm at with it. Just besides watching the video, we actually can look at the
Right.
actual,
Right.
stuff.
And that's what I was
So,
saying,
yes,
like maybe something that you could take notes on, et cetera, as you're watching. And also just to remind you all, you will have access to coaches. And one of the things that I have committed to is, as we're moving forward with the system, just because we do it like a certain way today does not mean that we will continue to do it like that tomorrow. As as I have said from the beginning, as we are putting these things in place, there's no way that we've thought of everything. So as we're moving forward, if there's a hiccup, if there's something that isn't working, we will adapt to change that. Okay. We're not going to plow forward with doing something that is actually hindering you all versus helping you. Okay. Especially if we know that a program is really making strides. And y'all, I've been around for a long time. I can walk into a program and I know within 5 minutes whether or not the director is really committed to serving those kids or not. That's very evident very quickly. And I think that, that's something that I've had conversations with my folks, with the people at Health. Like when they walk in and they get the sense that the director really is trying to do what's right, we should work with that director as much to the extent possible that we can. Okay. As long as children are not in immediate danger, we need to try to help them improve. So, that's just all that to say, as we're moving forward, it doesn't mean that just because we lay plans out like this, that we may not change those. Okay. So we can send out the link and the PDF. We'll send that out via email. Y'all do be watching, your email. We are going to send out some other information about the deadline for the registering for Elevate, the first badge, etc. So just be watching. Just be watching. I'm going to go back. Got a couple of questions. If you were enrolled in the MDE program, will that help the score? Okay, so if you are enrolled in the Department of Education's pre-K program, meaning that you're participating, it's a very intensive coaching program. If your pre-K classroom is working with MDE, you are participating in what we call Elevate Plus, you will automatically earn the preschool pre-K badge. Okay. We're not going to, I saw a couple of people got excited about that. Yes, if you're working with MDE, I'm not going to make you redo everything with us. Okay. We're actually doing Elevate Plus in partnership with MDE. It's another reason why we're using class, because MDE is also using class. And I can tell you right now, the pre-K collaborative program is not going anywhere. Okay. You're only going to see more of that across the state. The best thing that y'all can do is align your programs at your pre-K programs with those standards, because legislators want it, parents want it. I'm just telling y'all that's just the truth of the matter. Okay. So yes, so if you are working with MDE, you will automatically earn the badge when we roll those out. Okay. And as long as you continue to work with MDE, you will have those badges. Okay. A couple other questions. Let's see. Can I repeat what I said about how long it should take to receive the class? It should not take 30 plus days, Chrisella, should it?
So we just put the 30 business days there, but we definitely work to get it to you a lot sooner. So we're definitely looking at maybe like a 2-week turnaround, but just on the safe side, we do say 30 business days.
Okay. But I would just say it probably wouldn't hurt after a couple of weeks. If you haven't heard anything, you can just reach out, to your coach or reach out to us just to make sure that something didn't fall through the cracks. Okay. Let's see, a couple other questions. Will the scores be posted in the Lyft portal at any point? So we don't post the individual scores. You request those in writing. The reason that we don't post those scores in that way, one of the other big complaints about Quality Stars was that it focused too much on the scoring, and programs were using that kind of against each other. They were saying, well, I have 4 stars, you only have 3, and so with this program, it's either you earn the badge or you don't. Okay. Either you've met the criteria or you have not. The scores are absolutely that's your information. We will make it available to you, but we're not posting it online anywhere where someone could potentially get their hands on it and use that information, so we will make those available, but again, you do have to request those from your coach in writing. So, Ms. Dora, we will send the email link to whatever email you have on file with CCPS or with Department of Health with licensing. Okay. If you're the email that you put in the chat, just make sure that that's what licensing and what we have on file as your business email address. Are there bilingual coaches and observers? We currently do not have anyone that is dedicated as a bilingual coach or observer. That is a very good suggestion, though. I have expressed wanting to try to find some coaches and maybe observers that are in fact bilingual.
Chad,
Yes, go ahead. Do we have
can I
someone?
add something? Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
Look,
good.
I know you've been
Yeah.
busy. We just got it on board. We actually have one observer. She's fluent in Spanish and English.
We able to request um
Yes,
her
I would say
if we
if you have a teacher that would need a bilingual, definitely like a bilingual observer, and we'll make as many accommodations as we possibly can. Yes. So just when you register and when you talk to your coach or whoever is doing your scheduling, just if you can request someone that's bilingual, we'll do everything that we can to accommodate you. Yes. Okay, any other final thoughts, questions before we call it a day? Okay. Again, thank you all so much for your participation today. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for the feedback. That's the only way that we can move forward with making these things better is by us all, talking about what the plans are, having conversations, developing plans together. That true collaboration between us and you all is it's going to be vital for us to continue to strengthen our early childhood system as we move forward. So thank you again so much. We will be posting the link online. We will also send the link out along with the slides. We'll probably do that through Department of Licensure, just because they include all child care programs, not just those that are child care payment program centers. But anyway, we will do that. So thank you again for being here today. I hope you all have a great rest of your Wednesday, a great rest of your week as well. Thank you all so much for everything that you're doing, and we'll see you all next time. Okay? All right, take care.